Right. Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to another Growth Accelerator session. Our topic for today is content mastery. Content mastery. How to create content consistently and profitably. So, we're looking at tools and strategies for consistent and profitable content creation. So, I can see quite a number of you already live. We'll get right into it. Um, Immediately. You're welcome to the session today. If you're live already, you can go ahead and drop a comment in the chat box while I come up on video. You're welcome to this session. You can see Adefa Emmanuel is great. Mr. Sai is good to have you here. And let's get right into it. So one thing with content is that content is something I describe as the lifeblood of the internet because literally anything you see online is content. So it can be text, it can be videos, it can be pictures, it can be different kinds of things. But once you come online, you literally interact with content. All right, that's what happens a lot. So as soon as you come online, all you're doing online is you're having an interaction with content. That's literally what you're doing. So knowing that, it's important that you yourself, you are able to a large extent, create content that allows you to both be visible and profitable. Those are two major things. You're both visible and more importantly, you're profitable. So this session will be one that tells you, step by step how to go about creating content that works for your business, not just creating content haphazardly. You're not just doing everything or anything anyhow. You're creating content that works. So before I go right into, let me just say hi to some of you that have joined live. I can see Esusar, I can see Stephanie Chindo, great to have you. I can see Joseph, great to have you, Joseph, Jim Blees, Okay Junior, great to have you here. I can see Martins Emanuela, great to have you. So I can see quite a number of you already live. If you're live already, drop a comment. I would say hi to you guys at the end of the session. But for now, let's get right into it. So, like I said earlier, content is the lifeblood of the internet. Now, I'll start this with an angle that will help you to really get what I'm trying to explain. And it's what I call pillars of content mastery. The topic for today is content mastery. That's a major topic for today, content mastery, how to master content creation, okay? So you can go ahead and write pillars of content mastery. Pillars of content mastery. That's where I will start from for today. Now, when it comes to mastering content online, there are two major pillars, two major things that you need to master for you to say you have become a master of content. If you master one of them and leave the second one, what happens is you can get really frustrated, and it's really bad because you can be so good at one and terrible at the other, and it will show in your results. Your results will be really poor, really low, and really frustrating. So there are two pillars of content mastery. The first pillar of content mastery, you can write that down. The first pillar of content mastery is the pillar of content creation. That's the first pillar, the pillar of content creation. So you can write that down. The first pillar of content mastery is the pillar of content creation. Now, a lot of people learn and gather around this pillar for so long that they do not know that that is not all it takes. That's why we have people that are super great at content creation. They are awesome at creating content. Their designs are awesome. They're great copywriters. They are great video creators. But because they are not aware that content creation is not the only pillar, they camp around that for too long and complain when they get frustrated by insufficient results. So content creation is the first pillar, but not the only pillar. So the first pillar is content creation, the pillar of content creation. You can write that down. Now, the second pillar of content mastery is the pillar of content distribution. All right, you can write that down. So the second pillar of content creation is the pillar of content distribution. So there's the pillar of content creation, which is very important. And there's the pillar of content distribution. All right, pillar of content distribution. These are the two major pillars when it comes to content mastery. If you can master content creation and you can master content distribution, your content game will change. And remember, I said content is like the lifeblood of the internet. So imagine you have mastered what you consider the blood of the internet, right? it changes everything for you. It changes your sales, changes your results, changes your visibility, your engagement, changes the number of people that are buying from you, changes the number of people that are knowing you online. Why? Because you've mastered content creation and content distribution. Do not master one without the other. There's something I call the attention currency. All right, you can write that in the chat box. All right, just write attention currency. And I personally describe attention currency this way. Now, when it comes to people's attention online, think about it as money. We literally pay attention. That means every single time that we create content, all right, every time you create content, every time I create content, we are literally asking that our content should get the attention of someone. I'm currently live right now. At the moment, my live session is competing with the attention that Netflix should get. It's competing with the attention that maybe Twitter should get. Why? There are some of you that are here live right now that you could have been any other place. And if you go to another place right now, what will you find? You'll find content. True or false? If you go to Twitter right now, you'll see content. If you go on Netflix right now, you'll see content. If you go on Facebook right now, you see content. So there's always a war. There's a hidden war for attention. It is the quality of your content and the quality of your distribution, the quality of your content creation and the quality of your content distribution that will determine how much of the attention currency you can get. So people can pay you in many ways, but one of those ways is the currency of attention, the currency of someone giving you a bit of their time or giving you the attention for a period of time. So these two pillars help you to really capture this currency of attention. So that's the first point, right? So we'll go to the next thing that is really important that I shared today. And this is where we'll be dwelling a bit more. And that's the subtopic, if I should call it that, how to create content consistently. You can write that down. How to create content consistently. Now, I have a lot of people that say, oh, you're always putting out content. Every single day you're showing up this and that. Now, I'll have to say this, right? When it comes to successful content mastery, it's not just about showing up, all right? You don't really have to show up every day for you to be successful in your content mastery. Showing up has a goal. My showing up every day, there's a goal for that. It's an entirely different goal. If that goal does not coincide with yours, you don't really need to show up every day, all right? So how to create content consistently, that's the next subtopic we'll be looking at. If you have been thinking of, okay, I would like to show up more, I would like to create more consistent content, this is the place for you to learn that. And that's what I'll be talking about in the next few minutes, how to create content consistently. Now, the first thing I will talk about, right, before I start listing it, is before you think about you want to create content consistently, you have to answer the question, you have to define what consistency means to you. This is the mistake people make. You just say, oh, I want to create content consistently. Creating content every day is consistent, but that's not the only definition of consistency. For example, let me give you an example. I come up live every Thursday, right? I've been doing that for about 10 Thursdays or more now, I think, around 10 or 11 now. That is consistency, but it's not every day. True or false? Consistency is not just putting out content every day. That's a good part. In fact, that part has its own merits. Most of the people that you're following, most of the people that you say, oh, I want to be like this, I want to be like that, some of them put out content every day. Not all of them, but some of them do. Some of them were putting out content every day when they started. So they've gotten to a threshold where they can afford to not put out content every day anymore. If you've not gotten to that threshold, you may need to do that. But I just want to explain first that when you think about creating content consistently, the first thing that should come to your mind is not every day. Consistency is simply a pattern of repetition. Consistency is a pattern of repetition or a frequency of repetition. That means your frequency can be every day. Your frequency can be every weekday. That's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Your frequency can be every Thursday, for example, my live session, but have a frequency that you can use to mark your consistency. Are you learning? Are you following? If you're following, let me know in the chat box. Have a frequency that you can use to mark your consistency. Define consistency for yourself. Am I going to make a post every Monday? Am I going to make a post every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday? Am I going to make a post every 2 days interval? Am I going to make a post every day? Am I going to make 5 posts per day? Because there are some people that's their consistency. What is your own consistency? Now, while you're defining this, I need to put something in mind. Do not define a consistency and expect the results of another consistency. Are you following? Do not define a consistency and expect the results of another level of consistency. That means if you're seeing someone that's posting every day and the person is, growing in leaps and bounds, in influence, in followership, in, even financially profitability online, and you want that result, you may need to make sure your own consistency matches the effort of that person. All right, don't define a consistency and expect the result of another. So if you see someone coming up every day and you like the person's results, you may want to come up every day. I'm not sure it will work for you, but you can't know until you try. And not that you try for 1 week, no, you try for a period of time. So define that consistency and stick with it for a period of time. That is the first step of creating content consistently. That's the first tip. That's the first strategy. Make sure you define what consistency means for you. And some of you can do that even tonight. You can do that even on this session. What do you think consistency means to you? All right. Now, the second point I will make when it comes to creating content consistently is you need to consume content intentionally. Now, these are the tips that are the most important. It's not, I'll still go to other things that will sound a bit more practical. There are some things I'll still share. But this part I'm talking about is literally the most important. Consume content intentionally. Every single day, we consume content, whether you like it or not. Every single day, there is a consumption of content that happens. Every single day is a daily consumption. It will always happen. It will always happen. There's always a daily consumption of content. You can write that down. There's a daily consumption of content. Your goal is to make sure that your own personal consumption of content is intentional. Why? You cannot give what you do not have. Some of you that say, oh, you have, is it, what do they call it these days? Is it writer's block or, content fatigue and several other names? Some of you is legitimate, but for some others, the reason why you're having those things you're describing with big English is because you're not reading. You're not consuming content intentionally. So how do you expect to give out what you've not taken in? It is supposed to be out of the overflow of you that you are expressing. So if there's nothing, you will struggle with content creation. No matter the tips, no matter what I share with you, if you want to create content consistently, the second thing you must do is to consume content intentionally. That means one way to go about that is you can have a list of people that you listen to at least every day, or at least over a period of time. These are people that I listen to per time. All right. It may be relatively unrelated, but for example, personally, one of the people I listen to because hearing the communication of the things that they share, all right, both the content itself and the entire package it comes with, all right, it edifies me. One of those people for me personally is Apostle Joshua Selman. Some of you may know him, some of you may not. You can go ahead and look for him after now. He's someone that edifies me in a way that I can take out time and consume content that came from him. Now, there are many other people that I listen to. My mentor, Elisha Marman, when he speaks, right, I'm able to listen to both what he's saying and what he's not. There are people that write, I believe, based on the metrics I have, I totally see their writing as, to a large extent, excellent. An example is someone like John Obidi on Facebook. All right, he writes on Facebook, the way he communicates, I really, really love that pattern. Another person that I love the clarity of communication is James Clear. I don't know if you guys know James Clear. James Clear wrote an amazing book called Atomic Habits. I love the way he communicates. James Clear is amazing with communication. So if I want to create better content, all right, if you want to start creating better content, you want to start creating excellent content consistently, make sure your content consumption is consistent and be intentional. It's not just about consuming everything. No. If you go on Facebook right now, you consume content. If you go on Twitter, you consume content, but that's not intentional content. You have to look for people. If possible, have a list of people. All right. If you say that my content is great for you, put my name on that list. Put notifications for when I post so that you can consume intentional content. No day passes by without me consuming at least one piece of content intentionally. It can be a book, be a YouTube video, it can be a post on Facebook, it can be, but there must be that intentional consumption of content. Really important. If you want to create content consistently, try this and see how it changes things for you. All right. Now the next thing, if you want to create content consistently, the third point is create content pillars. You can write that down. Create content pillars, and I'll explain what content pillars are. Content pillars are like buckets of content that you can create. All right. Let me explain what that means. So, for example, I'm into digital marketing, growth marketing, personal development. Those are already pillars I'm calling out. So most of my content can be either a personal development content, it can be a growth marketing content, a digital marketing content, a business growth content. My content is around some certain things. I also write content on spirituality. There are certain things that I write about. There are certain things that I create content about. So you need to have those things for yourself. For some people, it's just accounting. For some people, it's just finance. For some people, it's just design, UI UX design, or tech, or startup life. Identify your content pillars. There's a friend of mine, Madam Landlady. She just started her YouTube channel. You can check it out on YouTube, Madam Landlady. She creates content majorly around real estate. That's a content pillar for her. One thing that content pillar helps you do, or one thing that having a content pillar helps you do, is that it allows you to have an identifiable brand. So you're not writing about just everything. You're not creating content about just anything. There are some things that people can think of and think of you. Why? You have created content pillars that define the scope of the things you will create, the things you will write about. So create content pillars. This is not the place where you learn how to create content pillars. You can, after that, you can watch a YouTube video on it, you can read about it, but create content pillars. Now, the next point when it comes to creating content consistently is what is called content curation. You can write that down. Content curation. Curation is spelled C-U-R-A-T-I-O-N, right? So content curation. That's the next point when it comes to creating content. For some of you, one of the things that will help you with content creation consistently is the ability to curate other people's content. For example, you're reading a book. There's nothing wrong with writing about an excerpt from that book and quoting the owner of the book. Don't go and curate content and write copies. Those very devilish things that people do online. You know the owner of the content. Write the person's name there. If possible, tag the person. All right? Curate content from other people that are within your pillars. You can read a book on business growth and one of the pillars is business growth. It's okay to quote something you read from the book. It's okay to share something that you heard from someone. It's okay for you to take a quote from this session and share and tag me. That's curation, but you've created a piece of content. It's okay to take a screenshot of this session right now and my beautiful face and go ahead and put it online. That is curation. Further, you're tagging me and you're not just putting things out. You curate content by using what other people have created. So content curation is the art of using what other people have created that is related to you. For example, let me give you a practical example. There was a recent update by Facebook. All right, Facebook has been having a number of updates recently, and there was one recently about some more possibilities that are coming to WhatsApp. Now, Mark Zuckerberg actually put out that content on Facebook. But what did I do? I took a screenshot of that content and I was able to share that, right, with due credit to Mark himself. Why? Because he's the owner of the content, but he's in my niche. I'm in the digital marketing, digital business niche. So that means what he's writing concerns me. So I can share that content. Content curation is not a bad thing if you're able to tag and give people the necessary credits. And this is a way that you can create content consistently. It's not every time that you have to put out content that is not yours. Make sure there's a schedule for it though, so you're not doing too much, right? But you can curate content. Now, the next point is called content repurposing. You can write it down, content repurposing. Right. So if you're following me on Instagram, this is my handle at Steven. My handle is just by the side of my name here at Steven. If you're following me on Instagram, you'll find out that some of the content that have been created in a growth accelerator session, all right, is being repurposed. So I have someone that is amazing with video editing. His name is Samuel Tota, and he repurposes my content for social. So content repurposing is just the art of trying to modify either the format, the length, or something about one content and changing it to another. From this content that we're doing right now, from this session, there'll be shorter videos, there'll be quotes, there'll be all sorts of things that can come from here. There can even be a blog post. Some of you get emails from me. All right. If you get emails from me, you'll find out that some of those emails you get are actually repurposed content from what is happening here. So content repurposing is another point. Which number are we at now? Please let me know the number. Which number is content repurposing? So we're talking about how to create content consistently, right? And I said that one way to create content consistently is by repurposing your content. It's not every time that you create something new. So think about how you can create long-form content. If you want to repurpose content, it's best to create a long-form content. That way, you can repurpose it to something else. It can become a quote. It can become a shorter content. It can become, relatively any other kind of content apart from the first point, all right? So content repurposing is an amazing way to create content consistently. There's someone that does this a lot. I think I'll talk about that a bit. Let me just keep that example. All right. Someone should remind me of that example when I'm done with this particular subtopic. All right. Yeah. So content repurposing is interesting. You have to learn how to recreate your content in other ways. All right. Now the next point, I think that's number 6 now. All right. Number 6 is what is called content batching. Content batching. That means creating of content in bulk. For some of you, this is where the issue is. You may need to take out time. Don't post for a while. Don't post for 1 week. Don't post for 2 weeks. Take out time and create sufficient content for like 30 days or 60 days. You can take out time and create content for a while. All right, that's content batching. You're creating content in bulk. This is a strategy for consistent content creation. All right, I started with this particular strategy when I first started, because I wasn't yet extremely good with creating content on the go. Right, there was a time when I had to create several content, and then I will start sharing them one by one. Like the content I'm going to share tomorrow, I may have created like 2 months ago, 1 month ago, and nobody knows. Nobody has to know. Why? Because you've already created this content way before time, and that's fine. So that's content batching. Create content in bulk. How do you do that? Identify your pillars and create content around those pillars and keep them in store. Don't share them yet. When you have sufficient content in bulk, then you can start sharing. That way the pressure is low on you. For some of you, if you're not yet used to just creating content on the go, like some of us can do right now, you may need to create content in bulk and just keep it. All right, batch that content. All right. Now the next point, that's number 7 now, I think. Yeah, number 7. Remember, we're talking about how to create content consistently. The 7th thing you can do to create content consistently is having what is called a content calendar. Having a content calendar. That's the 7th way or the 7th strategy you can use to create content consistently. A content calendar is simply a schedule for your content. How your content will go out, all right? What day, what time, things like that. What type of content goes out on Mondays, on Tuesdays, on Wednesdays. That is a content calendar. So you may need to go and learn how to create a content calendar. That can be an interesting afterthought for you. A content calendar just helps you to arrange your content with the future in mind. So you have the days of the week, you have the times of the day where you need to put out those content, right? And it's already ready for you. You've created that calendar to capture the various content that you're creating, right? So number 7, you can write it on the comment box. Number 7 is using what is called a content calendar. All right, having a content calendar. Thank you, Abdul Latif and Ersosar and Martins too. All right, for putting that in the chat box. So having a content calendar is the next point. All right, for creating content consistently. All right, and a closely related point to this, I think I can leave it as the same point, is what is called scheduling. Or let me just keep it as a second point. All right, so number 8, using content scheduling or scheduling. All right, British/American pronunciation. So content scheduling, right, or content scheduling. What you can do is several social media platforms right now allows you to create a content and put it out there and define the day and time you want it to go out. There's a tool called Meta Business Suite. It's a tool that you can use on your phone. It's also available on desktop. You can search for business suits. All right. I'm talking about content scheduling now. That's number 8. Content scheduling. So you can download business suite and you can use that to schedule your posts for either Facebook or Instagram. All right. There's also Hootsuite. Hootsuite allows you to schedule your posts on other platforms, LinkedIn, Twitter, different platforms. You can create your content and schedule it before the time that you need to post it. That way, at that particular time, that content goes out. All right. So that's a type of, I think I remember the time that I worked on the scheduling content that we actually scheduled content for months ahead. I think about 3 months ahead. And this content was supposed to go out every day. So we created sufficient content for 90 days and we scheduled it for that 90 days. So while you're seeing a post going out, you don't know that we've created that content like months ago. So that time can be used for other things. That's why content scheduling is important. So you're able to show up consistently, but yet you're able to still have time for other things. All right. Now, the number 9, I think this is like a lot. Probably I should leave some. Should I leave some for a paid class? Because I think I've given for almost everything. Let me just give you I think one more. Which one should I remove now? Let me see. So number 9, I'll start at number 9. When you see my class on maybe content creation, you can pay for it. All right. Or I think I may have a session on this later, but let me just give you the 9 points. So the 9th way you can use to create content consistently, all right, is by, I'm trying to see which of them to choose. There's a couple of them here. Let me just select one. Let me choose the one that I wanted to talk about earlier. It's called user-generated content. User-generated content. All right, that's number 9. User-generated content. For some of you, you may need to repurpose what other users have shared with you. It may be testimonials, it may be customer reviews, it may even be comments on your posts. I think there's someone called Strive Masiwa. How many of you know Strive? Strive Masiwa. Sometimes he actually screenshots a comment on his post and uses that as content. All right. So that is user-generated content. Testimonials, user stories, people that are related with you. But it's best to use user-generated content that was shared in a public domain. So we have to be very careful about that. Try to use content that was shared in a public domain. Not if you're going to use things like WhatsApp chat and things like that, it's not so advisable. If you're going to do it, make sure you have full consent of the person the person you had that conversation with. So you're not sharing something that's supposed to be extremely private. All right. So have consent before you use user-generated content. All right. Except there are sometimes that there are leeways. For example, if the content was shared in a public domain, sometimes it's easier to use that as a user-generated content. That's the number 9 way I will share on how to create content consistently. Have you gotten value so far? I want to be sure that what I've shared so far has been really helpful. If you've gotten value so far, just let me know in the chat box. You can type the word value in the chat box. If you now know some ways and some things you can do to create content consistently. Now, the next, I think I'll just keep one point. All right. I don't think I will need to share everything right now. All right. So I will skip a particular subheading and go to the next one. The next thing we'll discuss for some minutes, we're already at 30 minutes mark, is how to distribute content profitably. How to distribute content profitably. You can write that down. How to distribute content profitably. All right. I was going to share how to know what to create, but those of you that will be a part of my private session, you get that. Let me keep some things for those that will be a part of my private content creation session. So how to distribute content profitably. All right. The first thing to do, if you want to distribute content profitably, remember we're talking about profits now. You want to, you're using content to sell, especially, or you're using content to grow your brand, right? The first thing to do, if you want to distribute content profitably, is to start with a goal. All right, start with a goal. Your goal can be majorly two things. There can be several goals, but there are two major goals that most times people have when it comes to content distribution. The first goal can be visibility, all right, or you want to increase your credibility or your brand awareness. That's visibility, all right. That's number one goal. All right, so yeah, so start with a goal. That's number one. Thank you, Ayo Digital Slim. Start with a goal. And on that goal, you can write that on that goal, there are two major goals. Your goal can either be visibility or credibility, or your goal can be sales. Your goal can either be visibility or sales. It can be that you want to improve your visibility, you want to improve how many people know you, you want to improve how many people see you as credible, you want to build your authority. That can be your goal, or your goal can be sales. You must be sure of what your goal is if you want to distribute your content profitably. What exactly is your goal? All right, really important. What exactly is your goal? What exactly is your goal? Now, after you've identified your goal, the next point, if you want to distribute content profitably, is to have a call to action. Number two, have a call to action. If your goal is visibility, for example, your call to action can be somewhere hidden within your post. It doesn't have to be extremely clear. All right, you can hide your call to action. Maybe, oh, someone should share the post, someone should like and comment. You may want to have a call to action. I know there are some times that you can just create content without a call to action. That's fine. All right, but some of the times you may need to have a call to action, especially when your goal is sales. If your goal is sales, don't assume that people know what to do. Make it clear to them. Have a clear call to action. That's number two, a clear call to action. Tell them this is how to make the payment. This is how to purchase the product. There must be a call to action if you want to distribute your content profitably. You know why? If you start distributing your content and there's no clear call to action, you won't get your results. Profitability is simply getting the result you want, achieving your goals. You're profitable when you achieve your goal. That's profitability. Being able to achieve the goal that you're setting out to do. All right? So have a clear call to action. Now, the third point when it comes to distributing content profitably is choosing your platforms. Choosing your platforms. Your goals and your call to action will determine what platforms you need to use. But you have to choose your platforms. An example of platforms can be, Facebook, it can be Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. Choose your platform. For example, on Facebook, you can select 2 or 3 Facebook groups. And this is something I did at the beginning. When I wanted to grow my visibility, I highlighted specific Facebook groups that I'm going to share my content on. Head South Africa was one of them. The Winning Mindset Community was another one. I started with the Online Publishers and Entrepreneurs Network. That's Open Network by Edirin. That was another place I was sharing content on in the beginning. Why? My goal was visibility and authority. So I chose specific Facebook groups where I'll share my content. So you have to choose your platform. Don't just assume, don't just guess. If you have like 50 or 100 people following you on your WhatsApp status, you may want to share a link to your content there. And you may want to grow that platform too. All right, so make sure that you are able to choose what platforms that you want to share your content on. Don't just assume it, and don't just limit it to only your own profile. You may want to choose some other places where there is more traffic, where there are more people coming in. All right, so choose your platform. Now, which point now? Let me see. This is the fourth point. Yeah, the third point was choose a platform. Number four is engage with content. Engage with content. If you want to distribute your content profitably, you must learn to engage with content. And there are two ways to engage. The first thing is to engage with your own content. Why? Because, give me a second. The first thing is to engage with your own content. Why? Because the more you engage with your content, the more the algorithm, to a large extent, distributes that content to more people. So engagement improves visibility of your content online. That's the first thing. Engage with your content. The second thing is engage with other people's content. There is a level you may be at where for you to draw attention to your profile or to your page or to your product or to your content, you may need to engage with other people's content, especially people that have a large following. Drop intelligent comments on their posts. When they make a post, beyond just saying, oh, I like this or awesome, think of something creative. There are some people that have gotten lots of recognition just by putting a creative content or a creative comment on someone else's content. All right, so engage with content, both your content and other people's content. All right, that was what? That was number four. Number five is collaboration. Collaboration. If you want to distribute content profitably, you must learn the art of collaboration. That means if you have a friend or if you have someone that you have some sort of relationship with, don't go and harass people. Make sure you've built a relationship before you think of this particular point I'm sharing. All right. Collaboration is you're asking people to help you share something. All right. Or you're creating a session that has other people that you have some sort of relationship with. That is collaboration. Collaboration helps you distribute your content profitably. So number five is collaboration. All right. I want us to end at 30 minutes, but we're a little bit above that. But I'm already rounding up. So number five is collaboration. Identify the people in your life that can help you distribute your content profitably. If you don't have any, that means you have some work to do. And it's okay if you don't have at the moment. All right. How do you get people to collaborate with? Two things. Number one, pay for access. All right, pay for access. And number two, add value to people's lives. Pay for access, that's financial. Add value to people's lives. That is either people at your level or people above you, but look for a way to add value to them. All right. Number six, and I think the last one I'll talk about is paid advertising. All right, paid advertising. If you want to distribute your content, you need to learn paid advertising. So there's Facebook ads, there's Instagram ads, there is Twitter ads. There are a number of several platforms that allow you, to put out paid ads, but you need to learn paid advertising. That's number six. Paid advertising is an important way to distribute your content profitably. Why? You can target specific niches. You can target specific people that need to have that content. So just as a recap, we've talked about a number of things. We've explained what content is and why it's important. We've talked about the pillars of content mastery. We've also talked about how to create content consistently. If you're just coming up live, you may need to watch the replay. We've talked about how to create content consistently. And then the last thing we talked about is how to distribute content profitably. How to distribute content profitably. Now, if you did not register for this session, you may need to register. So when the product on content creation is out, if it's something you'd like to get, you can go ahead and make a purchase for that. I'll send that through email to all those that registered. But do you get value from this session? All right, you can take a screenshot right now. It's always an amazing time coming here to share value with you. But I want you to take a screenshot of the session and let me know. I know there are a lot of things that I've learned from today, right? But if you got value, let me know in the chat box, all right? But take a screenshot of the session. Make sure the screenshot is verified, and you can share it on your Instagram. You can tag me at FeedSteven. Tag me at FeedSteven anywhere you share it. I'll get to repost those things. I can see. Let me just say hi to some of you before I go off. I can see Favor. Great to have you here, Favor. I can see Manuel. I can see Latif. I can see Martin, Emanuela. Let me see if you're live. Please let me know you're live already. I can see some of you. A lot of you are live in the session. If you got value, go ahead and type value in the chat box. I can see Ayuba Haruna is live also. It's always great to be here every Thursday with you guys. It's interesting and also great to be here to share value. Please go ahead and take a screenshot. Let someone know what you learned from the session. Repurpose the session as much as possible. Okay, I can see Jane. Jane says the picture was beautiful. Yeah, that's true. I can see Daniel. Is there anybody that is attending this session for the first time? If this is your first session, can you let me know in the chat box if this is your first time of being a part of the Growth Accelerator session? I can see Daniel Afiakure. It's good to have you here. So, sir, if this is your first time, you can let me know in the chat box. There are a lot of people a lot of familiar faces that are already giving us that already type in the chat, but I can see your comments. It's good to have everyone, and thank you so much for being a part of this session. We will get to talk again next Thursday at 10 p.m. Make sure you invite someone and be a part of the session. Enjoy the rest of your night. Tag me on Instagram at Fisteven, Fiistephen. Tag me anywhere you make a post. Share what you got from this session. Share your action points and share if this session was impactful for you. Right? Martin Simanuela says this is my first session. Okay, awesome. Great to have you on board. Who has the puff for Martin Simanuela? There's always a gift for first timers. You can go and meet Estosa after the session. He'll give you. Okay, Latif, this is the first time of also attending live. Great to have you on board. Meet Estosa for your puff and for everything that you need. It's great to have you guys on board. All right, have a good night, everyone. I have to go now.